are live. How's it going, everybody? We're back with another video. This time, we're talking about the DC Studios Slate for Chapter 1 with the new CEO of DC, Peter Zaslav, and James Gunn. Now, John here is much more of a DC fan than I am. And he would like to say what's his favorite characters in the DC.
Okay. So my favorite character is the Green Lantern.
Really?
Yeah, the Green Lantern is my favorite. The black version.
Oh, Mr. John Stewart?
Yeah, Mr. John Stewart.
That wouldn't be because he shares the same name that you have, right?
No, no.
Why might he be your favorite character?
Because he's like a role model to young black boys.
Ah.
Yeah, you know, black men, the masculinity, you know.
All right.
Yeah, so I look up to that. So yeah, so he always been my favorite.
Okay.
You know.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
All right.
He's like a, to me he's like a Black Panther.
Okay.
But a DC version. Yeah.
Right. So if you were to have a top 5, who would be in your top 5 for DC?
I would say Batman. Batman. I got it. Batman is always gonna be the OG.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Batman, the Green Lantern. The Flash.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the Flash. The Flash. I like Green Arrow. He cool. I like Green Arrow.
Okay.
And ooh. And I was, for the last one, I'll say Nightwing.
Ah. Okay.
I'll say Nightwing. That's my top 5.
Wow, that was a surprise.
Yeah, that was my top 5 DC characters.
All right.
To me.
It's good to know. But for me, I would say I'm not a big DC fan, but I am a fan of DC, of their work, and I'm planning on getting more into DC after seeing the slate, because he hasn't seen the slate yet. I've only told him just a little bit, and knowing that there's a good chance that they're gonna start from scratch, the future looks promising for DC. But if I were to say my top 5, I would say The Flash, Batman, Green Lantern, both versions. Trying to think. Yeah, I guess I could slap Superman in there.
Man of Steel.
Yeah. Something about going through walls and not getting killed.
Bulletproof.
Yeah. Let's see. The other one escapes me. Not Robin. I mean, he's okay, but I wouldn't say my top 5. But that could change later. Maybe he could be in my top 10. But for top 5, I would say to top it off, I would have to say man, help me out here. What
I don't know who's your favorites.
I mean, like, name the list. The guy.
Okay, what about Cyborg?
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll take that.
Is that your favorite? Like, in your top 5? You gonna put him in your top 5?
Yeah, I'll put him in my top 10.
Okay. But we top 5s.
Top 5s.
Shoot. Wonder Woman?
Top 10.
It's pretty difficult. It's pretty difficult.
I mean, you know a lot more DC than I do.
Okay. What about Supergirl?
Mm-mm.
No.
Mm-mm.
Black Adam?
Nah. Sorry, guys. Not yet. Not yet, though. Not yet. Don't slaughter me
what
yet.
about Dr. Fate?
I haven't seen enough of them yet. Nah, not yet. Okay, because I said the Flash.
Beast Boy. What about Beast Boy?
Not yet. I said Flash, Batman, Superman, Green Lanterns.
So you need one more.
Yeah. Okay.
What about?
I don't want to say Joker.
You don't want to say so the villains too?
I mean, I could slap the villains in there. I'm trying to think. Not Mr. Freeze. Not Scarecrow.
What about Red Hood?
Nah.
No.
Like, I don't know that much about him yet
Okay.
to call him my favorite. Yeah.
Aquaman?
You know what? Yeah.
You gonna add Aquaman?
I do Aquaman because we push for time.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to get into this video today. And this is by The Cosmic Wonder. So we're going to get into it.
All right.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to The Cosmic Wonder. Today is the day it has officially happened. James Gunn has revealed the first chapter of the new DC slate. And let's not waste any time at all. Let's dive into the video and talk about what James Gunn has said, what he has released, and break it all down.
Hey everybody, I'm James Gunn. I'm the co-CEO of DC Studios. So as many of you know, DC has been disconnected in film and television for a long time. And it's one of, our jobs, mine and Peter's, is to come in and make sure the DCU is connected in film, television, gaming, and animation. That the characters are consistent, played by the same actors, and it works within one story.
Okay, so this first part, James Gunn basically addresses the problem with the old DCEU. There wasn't really much continuity, it wasn't really connected. They need to have the same actors playing the same roles, whether that be in movies, television, animated series, and also, as he mentioned, gaming, which is really, really cool. So James Gunn and Peter Safran are coming into DC, and they're making sure that everything connects. But for those wondering about, say, the Batman or the Joker, this is what he had to say about these projects.
And if something is outside of that, like Matt Reeves' Batman or Todd Phillips' Joker or Teen Titans Go, that it is clearly labeled as DC Elseworlds, outside of the mainstream DCU continuity.
So if it is outside of the DC Universe continuity, it will be labeled DC Elseworlds. So that is very clear. That makes it to where there's really not any confusion. If it is not labeled DC Elseworlds, it is not a part of the DC connected universe. Now, in the next part, he talks about 4 different projects that are coming before his new DC slate begins, and also explains how the universe is going to be reset.
Now, Peter and I have gotten pretty lucky in terms of the 4 projects that are coming out over the next year. First, we have Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Shazam has always been off kind of in his own part of the DCU, so he connects very well. That moves directly into The Flash, a fantastic movie that I really love that resets the entire DC universe. And then to move into Blue Beetle, a fantastic film about a kid who's a marvelous part of the DCU, and then into Aquaman 2, which leads directly into our next few projects, which I'm going to tell you about now.
So this was what a lot of us actually expected. The Flash movie is going to reset the entire DC universe, which honestly is just a really smart way to do everything. And from there, we're going to get Blue Beetle, Aquaman 2, and then we're going to dive into his new DC slate, which he has titled Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. Now, James Gunn states in this video, which he has already stated in a tweet, that him and Peter have mapped out 8 to 10 years of the DC universe. And much like Marvel has their phases, DC is now going to have what James Gunn calls chapters. And it is also important to note that he does say that this is only part of Chapter 1, not all of it. Now, the first project that he announced is a project called Creature Commandos, which is going to be a TV animated show. Now, here's something that is extremely cool that James Gunn has said, not only about this project, but animated shows and live action shows in general for the new DCU. He says that characters are going to go into live action and over into animated series and keep the same actor who voices them and plays them. And this is amazing. This is an incredible way to keep the continuity and connectivity of the DCU and not have confusion. So he's keeping everything connected very, very tightly. So I'm absolutely loving this idea. Now, Creature Commandos is a very James Gunn project. The team was formed for the Second World War. They were formed by America to fight against the Nazis. They established something called Project M, where a scientist realized that the enemies, or people in general, were terrified of essentially monsters. So what did they do? They conducted experiments on soldiers, turning them into monster-like beings, like werewolves, and they basically used them as a team to do special missions. So that's what happens in the comics. Who knows what they're going to do for the animated series? But I know James Gunn is a true comic fan, so I would expect something pretty similar to this. Now, the next one he announced is a live-action TV show called Waller. Now, most people know Amanda Waller, especially if you've seen the most recent DC projects, the latest one being Black Adam, and although the universe is about to reset, they are continuing with kind of the Peacemaker storyline and Amanda Waller's involvement there, because he clarifies in this that Amanda Waller will be using the Peacemaker team. So I'm assuming that this is going to tie into Peacemaker Season 2, and James Gunn seems to think that this show is absolutely amazing, and it hasn't even filmed yet. But here is where things get really interesting in James Gunn's announcement. He says next one is the big one, the true beginning of the DCU. Now, this is where essentially his live action Justice League DC universe begins. New Superman, new Wonder Woman, new Justice League in general, which leads us to believe, since he says this is the true beginning, that Aquaman, Shazam, the movies that he previously listed in this announcement will not be a part of this new universe moving forward. He was a little vague about those other projects, but since he says that this is the true beginning of the DCU, we could probably assume that those previously mentioned projects are not connected to the new universe. And it starts off with Superman. And what a great way to start it off. And we don't know much about what it's going to be about, we just know it's going to be called Superman Legacy, and it has a release date. It'll release in theaters July 11th of 2025, and James Gunn is writing it himself. We then move into something that I am personally very, very excited